What's shaking, my friends? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Shay, and today is the start of another reading vlog. I really want to work on, in 2023, reading more new releases. In 2022, I read 27 books that were released in 2022, which is fine, but I read 171 books. So if we think about 27 out of 171, I'm not doing very well. So I want to increase that. I always do really well at the beginning of the year, and then I kind of fall off on new releases, but I'm hoping that this year will be a little bit different. So I decided this month, and this may carry on over into some more months, who knows, I would take a look back on some January 2022 releases that I didn't get to, that I really want to get to. So we're going to read January 2022 releases in January of 2023. Alright, so the first one that I didn't get to was The Maid by Anita Prose. This got a lot of buzz. I think it even won one of the Goodreads Choice Awards categories this year, and I wanted to read it. It is a mystery. It has a autistic main character, I believe, and I don't know much about that. I don't like to know much about my mystery thrillers, but that's what we're going to do. There's also A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. Our next book comes out this month. I may end up reading that. I think it is about a girl whose father used to be a serial killer, and now some killings have happened that are similar to the way that her father killed people, and now there's going to be some mystery surrounding that. There's also another one, Notes on an Execution by Danya Kukavka. I don't know if I said that right, but it's about a serial killer told from the perspective of the women in his life. Also, we have The Bone Spindle by Leslie Vedder, which I've heard is a fantasy. It's a YA fantasy. It is Sleeping Beauty meets Indiana Jones in this thrilling fairy tale retelling. It may be fast-paced, young adult fantasy full of adventure, romance, found family, and snark. Snark got me right there. That's going to be a winner, I think. And also is The Starless Crown by James Rollins. This is a very hefty book. I don't know if I'll get to it, but this is I think it's an end of the world kind of story. A gifted student foretells an apocalypse. Her reward is a sentence of death. So the sequel to that comes out in February. So those are kind of 5 books that I'm still interested to read that came out in January 2021. So that's kind of where we're going to start. I don't know if I'm going to read all of these books in this vlog because 5 books is a lot, especially when one is a chunker. But I'm hoping to read some of them. So we'll see what I pick up first. Okay, so the first book that I picked up for this project is going to be The Bone Spindle by Leslie Vedder. And I was really interested in this book. It only has like 2,000 something reviews on Goodreads. It's like a 3.84. I'll pop it up here. But I have seen mixed reviews. I've seen people really love it, and I've seen people kind of about it. But I was interested in it after I've heard some really glowing reviews from people that I generally tend to jive with. Our book tastes align. I have not read the blurb of this book in like a year. I added it to my want to read list, and I didn't read the blurb. But interestingly, I knew it was a retelling, and of what I didn't know, but clearly when I started reading, it was a Sleeping Beauty retelling. And then I was like reading it, and I was like, oh, this kind of has Indiana Jones vibes. And it's really funny because when I went to read the actual synopsis, it was like Sleeping Beauty meets Indiana Jones. And I was like, hey, this is a book that actually got it right, because that was what was in my head when I read it. So I'm like 25% in. I'm not gonna lie, I had to restart the book multiple times, and it's no fault to the audiobook narrator, it's my fault. I was gonna go clean today, and I needed to start the book, and I just couldn't do it. So I think what I have to do with audiobooks is listen to at least a good 15% to kind of get the world intact, the characters in my head and all of that, before I can just like do something else while listening to the audiobook. So I had to restart it multiple times, and I actually immersed and read it for a little bit to kind of get my head. So it took me a really long time to get into the story, but now I'm kind of into it. We have 2 main characters, Shane and Fee, and Fee is kind of like a treasure hunter. That's what she does, and Shane is also, they hook up because they are looking for something. And each of these girls has a sort of past. We know we're kind of getting pieces of their past that may be significant to the story, and definitely significant to their character arcs. So I'm interested to learn more about that. And this is a land of witches. and the witches have like there's witch hunters in here, and there was a curse a long time ago, and one of the witch princes went into a bad witch trapped him, and they've got to save him because he's gonna get saved by a kiss, right? So this is also has some queer representation in it. I haven't gotten to that part yet. Overall, I want a little bit more character development from it, and I want a little bit more world building because I'm kind of like a little bit confused still at the 25% mark exactly how the world works. I will say that this reads, to me right now, it's reading a little bit younger YA, which is no fault of the book. It's a YA book, 100%, but just for those that may not want to read it because it being younger YA is fine. But I'm going to continue on because I am intrigued enough to do so, but I will check in later. Okay, so it's the next day. I've been cleaning. I haven't been updating, but I read about 10% more of the Bone Spindle and DNF'd it because it's 2023 and we don't have time for these kinds of books. My issue with this was not only did we have one insta-love plotline, but we had another insta-love plotline, so 2 dual insta-love plotlines, and that was enough for me to be like, okay, this is not the book for me, especially when one of the plotlines, like, they don't even talk and the first thing they do is kiss, and that's not for me, and that's okay. So I did end up DNFing the Bone Spindle. So I'm actually decided to pick up the next book, which was Notes on an Execution by Danya Kafka. I'm about 60% in. I was listening to it today while I was cleaning, and this is a book that follows this man who is on death row, and it's counting down the hours of his execution. And so we're seeing his perspective of being counting down the time in present, and then we're kind of flashing back and getting the story of his childhood and his growing up and all of that, and how he murdered these girls from the different women in his life. So his mother, for instance, or a girl he met in foster care. Those kinds of things, we're kind of getting the story of how he came to be, and it's certainly interesting. I am not sure that I absolutely positively love it, but it's compelling me to kind of read on. Right now, I think I would probably give it a 4-star if I had to rate it right now. I'm about 60% in, and I'm going to keep reading. I do find it really fascinating to read from that kind of perspective, but also this is fiction, so there's that. I think it would be better if it was like nonfiction, but it's fiction, and I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to keep reading, and hopefully we'll finish this one soon. So I finished Notes on an Execution. Let's talk about it real quick. I am going to settle on a 4-star on this one. I really did enjoy the book. I couldn't put it down. I wanted to turn the pages. My only issue with this, or what I think would have made this better, is if we did get perspectives from him while he was doing the killing, and we may have gotten some perspectives from the people in which he killed. Instead, we're getting perspectives. We're getting his mom's perspective when he was a child. We are getting one of his victim's sister's perspectives as she knows him, and we're getting the cop's perspective that's chasing him. So I think it would have been better if we would have gotten some different points of view. Maybe from himself. I'm not quite sure. I mean, I still overall enjoyed the story, but I ended up giving it 4 stars. So, yeah. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to read next for this project, but I will check back in with you guys later. Okay, so I was cleaning today. Like, I'm doing this challenge where you basically go room by room and you like clean it from top to bottom, and that's what we're doing in this new year of 2023 because I'm trying to be a better cleaner person, healthier person as well. And so I had my headphones on and I started The Maid, and I finished The Maid while I was cleaning, and I did not update you guys at all. So let me tell you a little bit about what I think about The Maid. It's basically a murder mystery. Our main character, who is autistic, she's a maid at a hotel, and she finds a dead guy in a hotel room. That's where we go. We're trying to figure out who killed this person in the hotel room, and our main character, Molly, is also a suspect at some point during the story. I understand the criticisms coming from people, but I don't understand the criticisms that come from people that say they don't like Molly as a character. Molly is autistic. You knew that going in. You should not decrease the rating because you don't like her as a character. I mean, she is autistic. That is how she acts. That is, you knew that going in. She has a disability. You knew that going in, so I cannot fathom why anybody would drop their rating because I don't like Molly as a character. If you did not want to read from an autistic point of view, you shouldn't have read the book. I mean, it's like, I think it's in the synopsis. So overall, I gave this one about 3 stars. If I could give it 3.5 stars, I would give it 3.5 stars. I was very much wanting to know what was going on. I was flipping the pages or listening to it intently in the audiobook. I'd never wanted to stop it. I always wanted to keep reading it. But overall, we have to talk about the mystery element of the story, and I think it was just so. I don't think that there was some huge mystery to it, but overall, I thought it was cute. It was a cute little cozy mystery, which is exactly what it is, and it may have been marketed the wrong way, but overall, I thought it was quite cute, and I did not see anything wrong with it, and I would continue to read from this author. So I'm going to end this vlog here because I don't think that I'm going to realistically be able to read any more books that I wanted to read. So just to recap, I DNF'd The Bone Spindle by Leslie Vedder. I got pretty far into it, and there was an instance of insta-love, not once but twice, and the characters read very, very young, and that's not a complaint. It is a YA book, but do know going in that it reads very young YA. And I don't jive with insta-love. I've said it 5,000 times. If you have insta-love in your book, I'm not jiving. But I understand that it's YA, so a lot of young adult readers like insta-love. The next book I read for this vlog was Notes on an Execution by Danya Kukafka, and I enjoyed this book. It is following, our serial killer as, we're learning about his life, and we're learning about it through several different women that have taken part in his life. And the only thing is I wish that we would have gotten some more perspectives, maybe from the girls he murdered, just a little bit sprinkled in here and there, and maybe some of his thoughts while he was actually doing the killings. I think that would have made it for a better story, but overall, I ended up giving this 4 stars. And then the last book I read was one I just talked about. That's going to be The Maid by Nita Prose, and I overall enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars. It was a cute, cozy mystery. I don't normally read cozy mysteries, but I thought Molly was a great character, great representation of autism, and overall a very good book, and I would continue to read from the author. I gave it 3 stars. So was this successful? Looking back, should I have read these books when they came out in January of 2021? I'm not quite sure. I am not sad that I read them. I did DNF The Bone Spindle, which is great for my 2023 DNFing goals. So I was happy that I was able to DNF that. But I enjoyed Notes on an Execution, and I enjoyed The Maid. So I am happy I read those books, and I'm hoping to read more in the future. And we may do this kind of vlog again, I'm not sure, because there are so many books that I missed out that were released in 2022 that I feel like I should have read. I will probably one day, I know I said that Flicker in the Dark, I definitely want to read. And also I really want to read the Starless Crown. So one day I may get to those books, and if they're still on my TBR, they're still in this jar, so I may pick them out of it and read it one day. Who knows? Alright guys, this has been a great fun reading experiment, and I will catch you guys later.